All right, everyone, welcome to season 2 of Resident Evil Resistance interviews. For the premiere, we got Nweston, also known as Nick. What's up, Nick?
I'm doing well, thank you, Aoife. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Season 1 went well, so we're definitely going to do another.
Well, yes.
Yes, we're going to do another 10 players. So hopefully it goes well, and hopefully people want more. All right, now, Nick, first question. Who is your main survivor and main mastermind, and why?
Ooh, starting off strong. So I'd probably say my most notable wins have come with January, but in all truth, I'm always happy to switch between her, between Jill, between Sam. Sometimes I feel like playing the tactical side, preparing cameras. Sometimes I want to do a bit of both with Jill. Sometimes I want to just be a damage meathead with Sam, so kind of depends on what mood I'm feeling, to be honest. For Mastermind, I try to be a bit of a Nikolai main, but have better days than others. Sometimes I'll do really well against the team and keep them down to a minute or two, and other times I'll lose to randoms, so it's one of those things and why I tend to play Survivor more, but either way, I dabble in a bit of both for sure.
All right, now, once RE3 dropped, what brought you to Resistance? And did you try the beta?
I did try the beta, yes. I probably wouldn't have even heard about the game, though, to be fair, if it wasn't for my friends. We were playing another game at the time, and they noticed Resistance just through like a random trailer on YouTube, and they said, like, Nick, you'd probably enjoy this, so I gave it a go. I wasn't good at the beta. I was Matilda-ing biocores with Sam. I was using Jan's fever skill to try and destroy machine guns, but I enjoyed the premise of the game and it seemed really entertaining, so I stuck by it, and I'd like to think I improved a little bit over time.
Now, in your opinion, what is the best squad of characters to have for a team, Nick?
It's a good one. Honestly, I'd say it's just any variation between, obviously, Val, Jan, and Tyrone, and then I'm happy with either of Sam or Jill. Some people like to stick with the beta team. Some people have developed into the Jill and Jan combo. And there's multiple ways you can work with all three of them in a team, so all depends what you're feeling. You can play USB Jill, Damage Tyrone, USB Jill. You can play USB Tyrone with Sam, so I think as long as the players using the survivors are good enough, any of those 5 in a team is perfectly usable, so I wouldn't personally have a preference. It's just beta team or Jan and Jill for me, and I'd be happy to play in either of them.
Now, is there anyone in particular that inspired you to be better at the game and improve or change your style, Nick?
I wouldn't say there was anyone specific, but at the same time, I'd say basically anybody that I played with helped in some way. You learn very, very small tricks to get those small advantages while playing, so you'd learn, I don't know, throwing the grenade before opening the door from someone, you'd learn how to time a dash punch from someone else, you'd learn about damage numbers from someone else, so honestly it all just came through playing with loads and loads of different players who all knew different things themselves and were all helpful in their own way, so while I'd say no one specific was a mentor or inspiration, everybody had a role in some way.
Do you play this game casually or competitively? Sweat or none matter?
Completely both. Sometimes I'll be in the mood for just having fun in duo queue or even solo queue, and sometimes I'll like the enjoyment of the tournament setting or bumping into one of the best masterminds in quick match or whatever, so I'm perfectly happy to play either, depending on my mood.
Have you ever felt the game is too one-sided, more in favor of Survivor or more in favor of Mastermind?
I do agree that it is survivor-sided. I don't think it's quite as bad as it's made out to be. I think most of the imbalance kind of comes through there not being enough good maps for masterminds. But overall, I think, although the game has its problems, it always would do. It's hard to balance a game like this, so I don't think it's exactly in crisis mode, even if it is survivor-sided overall.
What's your best memory of this game, and who were you with when it happened, Nick?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Probably say my most notable win was my first one against Nikolai. It was just a random match. I was just playing with some friends, and we didn't expect to do well, and we ended up winning. But at the same time, there was a little bit of drama that was made from other people that weren't even in that match. So it's one of those things where I wouldn't like to say that as my specific favorite memory because it wasn't exactly enjoyable for the aftermath. But honestly, it's the fact the game's still going after 2 years is a big thing in itself. And whether I think back to a match from this week or 2 months ago or 5 months ago or whenever, I can always think of a random comeback or a funny moment that happened or a nice bioweapon down that happened. So honestly, I think those things will just keep happening, and it's one of the main reasons I play the game.
What are your thoughts on the Resistance community as of right now, and why do you still play in it?
I think the community is overall full of really nice people. Obviously, there's going to be one or two bits of drama here or there, but I don't think it's A, as bad as it's made out in some cases, and B, I think mainly happens in a group setting or whenever there's just a stressful match that's just happened. So these things happen, but when you talk to people one-on-one, virtually all of them are nice, virtually all of them are fun to be around, so I don't have anything bad to say about them, and playing with all those different types of people is why I still play today, so.
How would you change the meta of this game? What would you add or remove from it, Nick?
I know a lot of people try to immediately go for the most broken things in the game, or things they consider that are broken right now, and try and immediately go from there and work downwards. But honestly, I'd more try to buff the weaker cards or buff the weaker variants. So, you know, try and make some of these ridiculously expensive area 3 cards cheaper and more viable. Try and buff things like turrets. So if you have modified gear in your equipment and your turret's under attack, it will automatically disassemble just like it automatically attacks people. And yeah, I'd just try and make as many things viable as possible to encourage variety, rather than nerf Nikolai automatically, nerf Jan's one-shotting capability automatically and stuff like this. I'd see how it goes, try and find a middle ground, and try and see what makes people happiest, because you're never going to get a truly balanced experience from a game like this when there's so many variables.
Now, Nick, it's time for the 2 fun questions. Now, these are all, in your opinion, just for fun. Nobody has anything to say about it. All right, now, Nick, in your opinion, which player is the best with that particular survivor? So, best Valerie?
Best Valerie. So I'm going to be very boring in some of my answers here, and I'm going to go with the generic. It's hard to say that there's a specific best character, because a lot of it does depend on who you play with or what you're used to playing or experience, but there are a lot of good players, and for Valerie specifically, I'd obviously say Day is up there. Ex Nihilo is a very underrated Valerie. Rat Labs, I've always had a good time playing with his Val. It's always fun playing with Sims and Violet. And then there's also really good Nullify Valeries that don't necessarily get the attention they deserve because Trap Alexes are rare, so people like Aarons, Tacitus Kilgore, Koji, they're all really good players, really good Nullify players, and yeah, I think there's a lot of Valeries that go under the radar because you don't really notice her unless she's necessarily making a really bad play. So, again, players like Izvetska as well, good Valerie to play with, so there's a lot of really good Valeries, a lot of ones that I'm more than happy to play with, and they all do a really good job.
All right, now, Nick, do not be stinky with this answer. Best Jan, in your opinion?
Best Jan, I personally think there's a clear top three. I wouldn't say there's a specific order, but any of Dom, Kara, yes, I am saying her, not going to be stinky, and Scooby. I think they are the top three. I think I've seen plenty of their gameplay to know what they're capable of and how consistently they can do it and how much they make even the best Nikolai's worry. But that's not to say that only the top three Jans are good in high pressure matches, because there's a lot of really good Jans. There's Bam, there's Yo-Girl, Dark, Ninja, Skiffy, even Jans like Stitchy, who don't always play in the sweatiest teams, but whenever I have played with them, they are really good. And yeah, I mean, I'd say myself as well. I'm in the upper region.
Best Sam?
Best Sam, I think personally I have a clear top three. I think Dark, French Reaper, and Pep are the three best ones. I played with Cody only a couple of times and he was excellent as well. But those three stand out to me for just how versatile they are with him. Pep is great at killing creatures, always has a tactic. French Reaper, he's not the most meta Sam in his approach, but he is very flexible, very versatile, very tactical. And Dark, he can make USB Sam work in virtually any situation, so they're all really good Sams, and not necessarily Sams that will always have a brain fart moment like some people, so they're always very reliable to play with.
Best Tyrone?
There's a lot of really good Tyrones. Kai, always consistent, always reliable. Adrian, he's amazing with his kicks. Jared is very consistent, very good pusher. Koji, very good as well. Conqueror is also one that hasn't always been mentioned for the best Tyrones, but he is very good to play with. Have a lot of good synergy with him when I play as Sam as well. And another one who doesn't always play in sweaty matches but is always consistent is Story Tortoise. So there's a lot of really good Tyrones out there, and ones I'm forgetting as well, but some of them don't get the credit they deserve, and that's a shame because it's always good to see good Tyrones.
Now, Best Martin?
Well, a lot of people have obviously struggled at times to think of Best Martins because you just rarely see them in high pressure situations or sweaty customs and things like this, but I'd say Nine Huskies is the best one I've played with. He's very good with his flash, very good just with his tactical play in general. He doesn't get himself into danger often. He's always there to back you up, always knows when to push, but doesn't do too much either to put himself in danger. Gloomy Sunday, obviously also a really good, notable Martin. If he played in teams consistently, I'm sure he'd get the attention he deserves. And there's other people who can make Martin work as well in specific situations, like French Reaper or Adrian have used him really well. But just in general, it'd be nice to see a few more people give Martin a go, because he is a really fun character, and honestly, he's quite underrated. He's not meta, but I do like trying to have a go with him here and there.
Now, best Becca.
Well, I mean, I think you, genuinely, not just because I'm here, I think you are the most well-rounded Becca. I trust you against Nikolai's. I trust you to stay alive against other tough builds, and it's hard to find that with Becca's, so I'm always happy to have you on my team. True Evil is obviously a really good Becca as well. I think he's amazing at taking out creatures. Just wish that, he'd give it a go, trying to face some of the meta builds, because I think he's good enough if he put his heart to it. There's also other good Beccas that come to mind, but people don't play her consistently enough in general for me to stick my neck out and say them, so I think you and True Evil are the two main ones that come to mind.
Thank you very much, Nick. And best Jill?
Best Jill, I think, like Jan, there's a clear top three for me. I'd say Scooby, IDK, and X. I don't think anybody else comes close to those three for consistency, rather. There's a few other good Jills, and I'd like to think that I'm up there in the top 10 or whatever, but when it comes to those three, I think they're unmatched. They're very consistent. They can kill a bioweapon, they can take out a core, they'll always prep the right cameras, they'll rarely get themselves into trouble, they're great at dodging. So, yeah, those three, they have what you need in a Jill: versatility, knowledge, and just really good at timing what they do.
And now the new question: which player is the best with that particular mastermind? So, best Daniel.
Best Daniel. That's a tricky one, because Daniel is generally very hard to use against the very best teams. There's a few notable Daniels. Jetfire with his Infinite X, always fun to play against. He always tries to make it viable. Raver, and I always enjoy playing his Gun Daniel with the Invincible Creatures combination. So I'd say they're the main two. Rat is also very good with Equilibrium mod. So if you're looking for a pure creature Daniel, it'll probably be him. But yeah, I'd say those three stand out, and it's hard to have a specific best Daniel because he himself isn't exactly meta.
Best Alex?
Best Alex, Rat and X. If you're going for purely infection, those two are definitely the two who know how to place creatures best, who always put you under pressure, always try to back you into a corner. Kingo and James, if you're looking at a trap Alex, always fun matches when they're here against them. And yeah, I think those four are the main Alexes that are the most frightening to play against, but there's also a few good Alexes out there who, if they mained her consistently, would also be very difficult to play against.
Now, best Annette?
Best Annette. Well, best Annette at backbiting me is Dom, so I think by automatic choice it would be him. But no, his Annette is always fun to play against. His presets are intelligent. He always knows how to fill out a room really well. He controls creatures well. So I'd say him for sure.
Best Spencer?
Oh, that's hard. Ranger is probably the most consistent terminal Spencer. So I guess I'd say him. But there's also couple of creature Spencer mains out there who are always really fun to play against, and even though their build itself isn't meta, they always stick to their guns, so Sparring Pickle and honestly Thomas Equinas as well is always really fun to play against, so even though I'd have Ranger as definitely the best, those two are always fun to play against in their own right.
Okay, lastly, best Nikolai.
Best Nikolai, I don't think we exactly need my opinion to decide this one. It's Linkway. His consistency of shooting, his knowledge of when to do things at the right time, he's just unmatched in that regard. But there is also other good Nikolais, of course, that give you challenges in different ways. IDK, very tactical Nikolai, doesn't give much time away, very wise and hard to play against. Pietro is a very fast Nikolai. If he improved his consistency on weaker maps, he'd be very strong. Obviously Pep, one of the most notable Nikolais. Dark, notable Nikolai. So yeah, there's a lot of really good ones who always a challenge, and especially if I'm playing Jan or Jill, it's always fun to play against them, even if I get Area 1 wiped. So yeah, credit to them for how good they are over a long period of time.
Any final statements or anything you want to say, Nick?
I think I've been through most of what I've wanted to say, but no, I just think in general it's been an honor to always play with a lot of different people, a lot of people who are fun to be around or play with, or just good teammates in general, and always look forward to playing with people, whether it's casually, competitively, and always happy to play against masterminds, even if they can beat me 5 times in a row. So whoever I'm against or playing with, it's part of what makes the game, and it's not something I'd change, so it's always been a pleasure, and it's been a pleasure to do this interview with you as well.
Thank you, Nick, for doing this. I appreciate having you, bro.
Thank you.